Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens. Ask Me Almost Anything. My name is Glenn Gers, and I am the Chief Operating Entity of Writing for Screens, a channel that tries to teach you what I have learned about writing for movies and TV in a 25-year career. Doing that, on my way out of the business, I have decided to try and leave for you the lessons that I had to figure out for myself over those decades. What I've done here, this is a little screenshot of my channel, and on the first 3 playlists, you will see where I have recorded short lessons, just 10-minute videos, each one on a topic that I think is a useful insight into the process, the work, the job, the craft. There's 3 playlists that I really urge you to take a look at. Screenwriting Essentials is number 1, Screenwriting Tools, Skills, Craft, number 2, and The Process, Being a Writer. It's a total of about 30 videos right now. I'm hoping to get it up to about 50. And each one of them, the title and the thumbnail tell you exactly what the topic is. I've tried to talk about things like genre, dramatic action, instinct, the basics as I have learned them. There is no unified system. It doesn't matter what order you watch them in. It doesn't matter if you watch them all or not. They're just things to try. Tools, skills, craft. I do not believe there is a single right way to do this. It's not the only way to do it. It's not the way that will get you money and fame. It's just useful tricks of the trade from someone who had to figure it out for himself and decided, hey, maybe I could save you from having to figure it out for yourself. Some quick hellos. Hello, Thumper. Hello, CG. Hello, Captain Tim. Hi, Najo. Hello, Jairo. Hello, Martletoso. And Michael. Oh my goodness. And Jean. Wow, gosh, lots of people here today. I am super thrilled by that. Going to do a very open AMA, but I want to start with a topic that comes up just so often that I just made myself some little notes about it, which is, I'm calling it, how do you know what's good? It's not really that simple. It's really more of, how do you know that your work is good? Okay? In other words, I get a variation of this question all the time, which is, I don't think my work is good enough. I don't know if my work is good enough. Can you look at my work? Da, 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 da. And honestly, the biggest question that you're asking is essentially the eternal question of any creative person. Hi, Donna. Which is this good? Is this good enough? Have I done the thing? Have I made the art? And I got a couple of emails with that kind of question. And I thought about, how do I explain this? And I've been working on my own work. And like today, I was working, going through the outline, trying to figure out how to get some characters to make a move, to change to a new relationship. And I came up with an idea. And I instantly thought, oh, that's good. And I thought about how many times people ask me that question. And I thought, you need to figure out how you know it for yourself. No one can tell you. There is no proper rule. There is no book. There is no thing to check against. There is no litmus test or numerological way to tell. You just have to learn the process of listening to your own sense of what's good. Hi, Nathan. Hello, Blaine. Hi, Kay. Writing a bit at a time. Yes. Yeah. I'm glad. I think that this is going to really be a question that a lot of people have thoughts on, which is, so here's the thing. There are lots of ways. We'll talk about ways that you can learn good craft, but that doesn't matter. What matters is you need to know instinctively, emotionally, creatively, that's good, that's bad. And it really comes down to it. I have sort of talked about this a bit in the video called Instinct, and I do urge you to see that, but that's not quite what this is. What this is learning that your judgment is your main guide. That's it. um, somebody says, and this is tricky because there are things that, it's not that there is such a thing as good and bad. There really isn't. There's no such thing creative thing. Things that some people think are good, other people will think is bad. But when I'm writing, I will literally say to myself, oh, that's good, or oh, that's bad, or it'll get the job done. It's not great, but it's okay. That knowledge is part of being an artist. It is not to be found elsewhere. You have to find it in yourself. My main thought is, how many of you would be writing or creating without some sense of that already? There's got to be and this is tricky because I don't want to assume. I've always had, I think, a pretty good sense of what I like when I do something I like. But it is entirely possible that some people just hate everything they do. I guess my question is, how do you do it at all? How can you feel when you do something? You've got to think somewhere inside that it's good. That is essential. You've got to say, I like this, I don't like this. Oh, I think this line is funny. Ooh, I think that action is scary. Something about what you're doing will feel right, will feel creatively right. That's how you know. That skill cannot be found only by looking outward. Definitely, there are plenty of things you can learn to help you judge, to say, is this dialogue running long? Is that wordy? These are things that you will decide. However, I have to tell you, the problem is what I think is too wordy, someone else will think is just right. Someone else will think that you should absolutely make it as spare as possible. If you're Samuel Beckett, cool, you're going to do that. If you are Aaron Sorkin, you're going to be wordy. What you need to do is decide what your values are and learn what craft you can about that. But essentially, you need to be on the lookout for the inner sense. Oh, that's good. Ah, I like that. And especially, it does come where you'll go like, wow, I never thought I would think of that, but I did. Cool, this line came to me. This plot twist came to me. And that is what's good. That's it. That's all there is to it. It's as good as it's going to be. You can't look outward as in there's a test. Oh, good lines have 28 words. Good lines sound like this. Doesn't exist. Good stories do this. You hear a lot of that. It's just not true. To say all good stories do this thing, it depends on what you think is a good story externally, and then what you feel, what you like of your own work. And that is really hard. You have to be constantly going back and forth between looking outward, this thing was successful, or this thing pleased me as an audience, and therefore I'm going to use that as a model to say, or somebody will say, it's got to be 90 pages to 110 pages, which is true for the business. Turns out it's 60 pages. What are you going to do with that? It may be that is the right length for it. You have to constantly be going back and forth between the things you have learned are acceptable or quality or approved. But if you have a choice, if you can only do one, you have to look in first. It's good if you don't only look in, but one of the basic questions here is you have to decide, are you asking, will other people think it's good, or do I think it's good? Those are two separate questions. And I'll tell you the secret to the answer of will other people think it's good? Only way to know that is to show it to them. You have to there's absolutely no way to be sure before you show something to somebody that they will think it's good. It is always something of a crapshoot. What does happen is you begin to think, I like this. And then you show it to other people and they like it. And then you go, that instinct of mine is pretty good. I can work with that. But you will never know if other people are going to get it, or there's going to be stuff that you will say, this sucks. And other people go, oh, I love that. And you may have to like do it because you're on a deadline or you got paid or whatever. I mean, there have been things, and every writer I know who's gotten paid will get stuff where they get paid and they do something and they go, oh my God, it was just the best I could do. It's not great. It's not even really good, but what the heck? I just had to do the thing in such a way that I will have fulfilled my contract. And then you'll be surprised. Some people will go like, oh, that works great. You don't know. So the question of whether or not someone else will like it can only be determined by showing it to other people. And I can guarantee you, everyone will not like anything. Everyone will not hate everything. It's just the way it is. Let me just catch up here. Hey, Dr. Gonzo, we're doing okay. How vulnerable has to make some sort of... these are great questions. I'm going to get to that one. Okay, let's start to collect some questions. Okay. Hi, Maisie. Hi, Umbra. How can we use POV as a tool to tell a story? That's another good one. I will get to that as soon as I finish this issue. Hello, Chad. I have not met you yet. Hello. Paul Haggis handed a comedy script to the teacher and was told where it is funny. I'm not sure I understand that one. Hi, Larry. It was told, where is it funny? I got it. I got it. Yeah, that's going to happen. There are people, almost every famous writer will have some story about somebody who just hated their stuff. Often a teacher who said, like, you should never do this. Just give it up. This happens. You cannot entirely go by external. My point is, you can't go by external values while you're writing because you're alone. When you are writing it, you are alone. So you need to decide by what you think is good or bad. There is no such thing as actual good or bad. I need to point that out. In my opinion, and this is somewhat controversial apparently, but what do you mean that's absolutely good? To tell me that something is absolutely good when, as I pointed out, Samuel Beckett wrote very spare, obscure, cryptic stuff that was artistically gorgeous, not going to be a big bestseller in the disaster movie department. On the other hand, there's other people who will watch The Poseidon Adventure, which I actually think is terrific, but they'll say, what a piece of junk. It's shallow, it's cartoony, it's superficial, it's unrealistic, blah, blah, blah. Good or bad? It's a matter of opinion. Now, you can decide to follow the values of a certain market. In other words, I am trying to sell to network TV. I'd better watch a lot of network TV and see what it is that they seem to think is good. And certainly you should use the models of things you like. That's the other way you find out what's good and bad. You say, what is it that I like and what about it do I like? If you like that characters make great big speeches, I like that. Then you're going to like that and you're going to try and put that into your own work. I have run into numerous problems where people have said, you can't do great big speeches. The main thing is you need to develop some confidence in your judgment, and you can only do that through practice. You need to actually make judgments all the time, over and over, day in, day out. You have to get used to the act of saying, I think that's good, I don't think that's good. That's it. Overly, consciously. You have to say, I'm going to decide what I think about this and live with that. The other thing you're going to need from practice, which you do alone, is experience, which you need. You need to actually do work and show it to other people. It does not matter who the people are. Yes, it's lovely if you can get shown by people who are in the business. Generally, you don't want to pay for people to give you opinions. That is first of all, those opinions are fishy. And second of all, those opinions are going to be from a person who's decided they're giving you opinions based on their set of values. Try to get opinions for free. The main way you can do this is work. Don't just worry about high-end professional paid. do work that you can do. If you can do community theater, if you can do a web series, and just whatever you can do, if you can do plays, if you can do podcasts, anything you can do so that your opinions, your experience of practice will get checked against things. And you'll find, like with my speeches, I love speeches. I found that you have to figure out how to do them. You have to figure out where to do them. You have to figure out when you can afford to do them. You can only do that by playing for the public. Just like if you're a musician, famously, the Beatles got really good when they had to play 5 hours a night in a bar in Hamburg every night. That's how you do it. Is there a danger that you will be a clueless asshole writer who just won't listen? It's like, oh, I think that's good. You're an idiot. Yeah, there's a possibility you will become that. Probably not. If you are even asking the question of, am I being a jerk by not listening to people? You're probably fine. Most people err on the side of not trusting their own instincts. And really, it's scary. You are going to be crushed. You are going to be humiliated. You are going to fail. That is part of being a creative person. Being able to face that and do that every day, that's what makes you an artist. That's what makes you a working artist. So all I can say is learn to love it. Learn to love your own work. Learn to have fun doing your own work, because then you have to put it out there. I'm going to quickly go back. There's been a lot of comments, so let me just see if I can get back to it. Okay. The only issue I have showing to people is that most people don't know how to provide feedback, and they'll tell you how they think it should be on their own way of thinking, not really feedback. Yes, this is true, and you have to learn to live with that, because that's life. That is how it is. That does not get better, by the way, in the professional industry. When you are showing stuff to people in the business, a lot of them will be simply talking about their own agenda. A lot of them will be talking about their opinion as if it is handed down on tablets from the clouds. Yes, most people don't know how to give feedback, but even when they don't know how, they're giving it. They may be giving it in their own. They may say something like, oh, I hated that. No story should ever be more than 6 scenes, or whatever it is. And you can say, well, now I know what their values are, and I can judge their judgment according to how useful it is for me. And always be open to it. You never know. But even the people who don't know how to give you feedback give you things you can use. You just have to recognize you do not get to just take feedback externally as correct, ever. Doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you're getting the Academy Award. A part of you is going to know, well, that's lovely to get that praise, but there are things about this that I would like to do better, or that were simply a matter of chance, or that someone else contributed. Praise, criticism, they all have to be woven into your understanding of how to use the response. The value of anything is not only that someone else outside of you tells you what to do. Ever. That's not what being an artist is. Sometimes you have to because it's a job, but even then you have to translate it. Yes, it's absolutely. This great book that I've talked about by George Saunders called Swimming in a Pond in a Rain. It is a very good book about the process of writing and the experience of writing. Okay, you'll never please anyone. Well, I don't know if you'll never please anyone. You'll never please everyone. Best always to write what you like and trust there'll be other people who like what you do. Yes, exactly. You can study what's good commercially, and if you want to steer towards that as best you can, cool. Some of my favorite movies are flawed. I say I love a movie that's almost perfect. That is true. It is there. What's perfect? What is perfect? People say, that's the perfect movie. First of all, if there truly was the perfect movie, at that point you would stop making movies. It'd be done. No point. Nothing's ever going to be. It's going to do everything. if it doesn't do everything, if it's not both a musical and a dark tragedy, then it's not perfect because it's not doing everything. So is it the perfect musical? Maybe, but then again, if Singing in the Rain is the perfect movie musical, then what do you do about Tick, Tick, Boom, which is also, frankly, a fantastic movie musical, and yet it's not Singing in the Rain. Okay. Good or bad is subjective. There's some extremely popular shows that I think are dreadful and shallow. Yeah. And some people love them. So what are you going to do? An idea felt great for my intro scenes, but writing it, I realized it didn't work cinematically, and a new way came to my mind. Yes. My thoughts on this are, yeah, that's what writing is. You don't get it all at once. That's my main thought. Is it strikes me as that's how you write. If you think of something and then you try it out, and then you look at it, and then you use this question of, is this good, is this bad? Oh, it's not great because it's not cinematic, as you say. So what can I do to rework it? Oh, now that I know that this doesn't work, something else pops into your head. That's exactly right. That's my thoughts on this are, good job. Keep doing it. That's how you do it. You do it by doing the best you can. Sometimes you think it's good, and then when you work on it, you find out it's not as good as you like. There's usually something in there that is good. That's really important. Very rarely do you say, I like this, and then later you go, oh my God, it's a piece of crap. I have to do the exact opposite. It happens, but most of the time you need to learn to value your own work and judgment. I protect him. Yeah, Maisie, me too. That's exactly how I do it. I don't like to show people stuff. I don't really have questions for other people until I like it. And then after that, other people like it or not, that's just the way it is. Thinking about sensitive subjects like revolution, religion, how and what way that will impact the writer, the masses, especially if it gets there. It is a huge response. I think that is a fair thing to ask. However, the thing about that is you don't want to take on more responsibility than you can actually accomplish, because the truth is, even the greatest piece of mass propaganda only has a certain effect. It is a good idea not to take on a subject and either say something that you feel is evil, that is causing harm, that is wrong. Try not to say things you think are wrong. Try not to say things that you think are uselessly mean. Sometimes you say something that's mean because it's part of a larger context and you get away with it because it's valuable. Sometimes you have put something mean in the voice of a person who's wrong. But overall, the question is, when you take on a subject, just remember, you're not God. You're just giving your opinion. So what you want to do, your responsibility is to like your own opinion, to feel secure that your opinion is correct as far as you can tell. I've never been happy with mine, Umbra Man says. So I do the opposite. I just let everyone who might want to see it and have access. That's also cool. Yes, absolutely. Umbra Man, if that's true, all I will say is I believe it is a useful thing to become conscious of the need for you to be happy with your own work. And the point about that is I'm not saying externally like you have to do that. I'm saying when you work, do you not have any feeling of enjoying it, of liking what you're doing? I'm just saying learn to treasure that. Learn to value the fact that you, at the second you did it, thought, oh, that's pretty good. Because it's likely that that's the case. Or you might be thinking, that's the best I can do. If that's the case, sometimes you're just putting labels on things because we are, for whatever reason, we are insecure or over-secure. We'll say like, oh, the best I can do. And it's actually inside, somewhere deep, deep inside, you're thinking, that's good. Whether you say best I can do or that's good doesn't matter. Just learn to identify that feeling. Tarantino came to my restaurant, says he makes movies for himself. Yes, I think that I do too. And Tarantino certainly does them. I think that the most important thing that you can do is not rely on anyone, including Tarantino or your other favorites. It's nice to get assurance that other people have done it. The main thing you have to do is do what you think is good. And I urge you to remember that if you are spending all your time worrying about what other people will think, that is especially unhelpful to getting better. People do not get to be better artists by spending all their time thinking, will they like it? Just guarantee you that is not the source of good art. The source of good art is, ooh, I like this. I had nightmares dealing with collaboration. Yes, collaboration is a separate question because you are required to create, to have that feeling of I like this or I don't with other people. And you frankly have to negotiate the power structure of a collaboration. You have to decide a process by which you are going to take the fact that no two people will have the same opinions, ever. Now and then they'll like the same thing, usually for different reasons or in different ways. So yes, when you're collaborating, you have to figure out a way of communicating and prioritizing those personal instincts. Also, someone's response may be wrong, but still point to a problem. This is true. James Milton has identified a good point. I say a passage is too long, but maybe it isn't. But it seems too long because there are pacings in the... Yes, exactly. James Milton is exactly right. Another way to phrase that is to say you need to translate people's responses. I've also heard some people say, look for the note behind the note. In other words, somebody gives you a note, somebody gives you a criticism or a response. You have to look for what are they experiencing behind it. Now, sometimes what they're experiencing is, in the business, their experience, I need X, Y, and Z for my job. Therefore, this thing not being X, Y, Z is annoying and frustrating to me because it's not what I need. That doesn't mean it's good or bad. It just means they're saying, I need something that's fast-paced and you wrote something that's slow-paced. Oh, well. Obviously, that's not going to be a match for that job. But the point is you don't have to say, oh, I better change my pace. You may say, I better find someone who wants what I have. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. The narrator went crazy searching for an objective definition of quality. Yes, I have not read that. I've heard many good things about it, and that certainly makes me want to read it because that sounds like a good story about a real problem. Hello, Thomas. Yes, except the main answer has to be if you're creative. If you're, and honestly, even if you were like a professional critic, the main answer is going to be, what are my values? And to honor your own response, to honor your own, to take seriously, to value your feelings, your opinions, your instincts, to say, that's a good idea. I don't know how else to say this except you need to get used to thinking that. And different people have different problems about that. Some people, whatever they do, it feels like a good idea because it relieves the pressure of having to write something. And so as soon as they do it, they're like, I got it right. And then they don't like to hear that there might be a problem. In that case, you need to listen a little bit to the objective, but you also have to remember, what is it about what you liked that you liked? What is that? Be sure you preserve or continue that. A main issue I have is if I have a story, I might not be the effective writer for the project in hand at this time. Perhaps after more experience, I might be the right, place to write the project. Not sure how one can judge and know they have the skill to... Okay, here's the answer. I have the answer to that. You have as much skill as you have. I am guilty of this too. Maisie, you and I sound like we work in much the same way. I would often think, I'm not good enough to write this thing that I'm writing, but I know if I keep writing, maybe I will be, so I'll put that off. And the answer is don't. Never. It's worth doing the best work you can on this thing that you think you want to do. You can always put it aside. The novel I'm writing, I have put aside over 3 decades. I have worked on it. I like it. I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel like I quite knew how to do it. I did as much as I could, and then I set it aside. but waiting until you feel good enough, generally not a great plan. Better to try now and see what does come out, because there's something in you that wants to do it, something that's connecting to it, something that is being stirred creatively. Don't ever discount that. That is worth it. What's your opinion on McKee and on Egri? In general, I try not to give opinions on other people's opinions because it gets snipey. And I think it's more important to be positive. My main feelings, let me see if I can find, hold on, I think, yeah, here's one. Know every rule and theory and formula you can, and then you only use them when and where they work for your project. So that's my opinion on McKee and Egri is the same as my opinion on any theory, which is it is useful to know them. It is valuable. If it is not helping you, set it aside and never think about it again until you need it for something that's helpful. My opinion on McKee is that he has a lot of good insights. His work is so freaking long and dense that I honestly created this channel very much because I was so tired of seeing books, and his books more than others, but any book where I have to read 200-300 pages of dense prose to get helpful tips, it was not helping me. By the time I got, and like I'm living in their world instead of getting the tools. So that's why I'm trying to do this, where you just take a piece and stack it up and use it when you want. You don't have to read a whole long paragraph. It's just like, boom, there's an idea. Take it or don't. So McKee is smart. McKee is fine. Egri, I have not looked at him since the 1970s, I think. I think he's old, and I don't mean personally old. I mean, like, his work is from a long time ago, I believe. And also, I believe it was mostly theater. It was helpful to me. I gotta say, I remember it being helpful when I was a teenager, but I don't have an opinion now. But my basic opinion remains, let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Every book you can read, that you want to read, that you feel excited to or interested, do. If you find yourself trudging through it and bored out of your mind and not thinking, oh, that helps me, set it aside. Okay. Alex Baldwin's speech in Glengarross was great. I agree. What are your thoughts about a person who writes dark stuff that never happened in real life? Son who raped his mom and cut her into small pieces and buried her. Well, the answer is people who write dark things write them for a lot of good reasons. I mean, the answer is dark stuff hopefully never happened in real life. It doesn't matter if you're writing horror or tragedy or crime stories, you are going to deal with dark stuff. Dark stuff does happen in real life. So therefore, the fact that it didn't happen in your real life is completely irrelevant. We don't only write about what happens in our lives, we write about things that move us or frighten us or inspire us, and we give our interpretation and our creative version of that thing. The other thing is a lot of dark things never happen because they're supernatural or a monster coming out of the ocean and attacking a city because of radioactivity. A realistic fear of radioactivity, it never happened in real life. Cool, doesn't matter. Godzilla has found a place in all of our imaginations. It doesn't have to be real. Those are my thoughts. My thoughts are, if they are writing those things, my thoughts are good. That's what writing is. Some people write dark things. Some people write light things. Some people, like me, sometimes you write dark, sometimes you write light. What I mean is that often I haven't got the skill set yet to hit the standards I have for myself. Okay, Umbraman, let me point out, and this is true, almost always when you tell me a thing that's a problem, the answer is in the statement of the problem. Here's the deal. I haven't got the skill set yet to hit the standards I have for myself. Maybe those standards aren't right for you. If your standards, which is just such a bullshit thing, if your standards are making you not right, or if your standards are making you not finish your work or not show your work, what's wrong is your standards, okay? Because your standard has to be the best I can do right now. That's the standard. The standard is I'm doing the best I can, okay? That's every artist's standard. How that plays out for other people, only putting it out there and seeing how it goes will help. That's it. Weirdly enough, Hemingway and Sondheim and Dickens and Shakespeare, they all had the same standard. I'm going to do the best I can right now and see how it goes. That's it. When you start to say, I can't do this because someone else did it better, or I can't do this because there is some obscure, non-rational right or wrong, you'll never be an artist. Artists have to do the best they can at the moment. If your style is not Hemingway enough, first of all, maybe you're not Hemingway. Maybe you're Umbraman, and Umbraman's style may be a little different than that. Do the best you can and do the stuff that you like at the moment you are doing it as much as you can. But if you are spending your time saying, there is some fence out there and I can't jump over it, and that fence was put up by someone else, you're not going to be an artist. Every artist is constantly jumping for whatever their personal fence is, and it's invisible to the rest of us. We don't know what Shakespeare was trying to do. We don't know how Shakespeare felt about his work, but I guarantee you now and then Shakespeare would think, oh, that's a good line, or, oh, that's the best I can do. I got to get this done. That's how you do it. There is no other way that I know of. If you spend your time looking to external forces to approve you or make you good enough, you can't be an artist. An artist has to decide for themselves, I'm doing the best I can, folks. Here it is. And what you do is the more you show it to people, the more you go, oh, that part actually was okay. And then you go, oh, that part actually wasn't okay. That's the only way to find out. Sometimes, if you're Maisie and me, you get to the point of like, I like it. I like it. I'm going to live with it. And I hope somebody else likes it. And most of the time, somebody else will. Not everybody. I have never had anything written or done in my whole life that everybody's liked. Don't worry about that. If you can't find anyone who likes anything about it, you have to figure out exactly why. It's rare. It is also rare to find people who are open-minded and don't spend their time comparing you to Shakespeare, because that often happens. You often get critics, people who respond, and what they are saying to you is, it's okay, but I remember when I was watching Community and it was funnier than your thing. So it's like, screw you. That's not what I asked. I asked, what do you think about this thing on its own, by yourself? You can't help that. All you can do is say, yeah, okay, I can only take that criticism so much, because if they're comparing me to some other thing, they're not telling me what I did. Okay. No, that's okay. I'm hoping that what you were saying was imaginary. But it's not always enjoyable as a relief when I manage to do it. Yeah. Don't have the skills. I understand. You have some skills. You are writing sentences right now to me. So therefore you have some skills. Use them. Use them the best you can. What do you think about movies which go through heavy analysis because people don't understand it? That's a good question. Um, uh, uh, you give me an example, because I would think that there's some things where, I mean, like, there are some things that are meant to provoke inquiry, meant to provoke analysis and argument. A lot of things, Tar, for instance, the man who wrote and directed Tar, has said, I hope when this is done, people are arguing about it afterwards. That when they come out of this movie, they will be discussing what they think of it. Cool. That's great. That's his goal. And he did it. And I kind of liked it. I mean, I cannot in good conscience recommend it in many ways. It's very trying in many ways, but it's also artistically good in many ways. So all I can say is, my feeling is, if you do something and you're really trying to be understood and nobody understands it, that's something you should work on. If you are trying to be ambiguous, emotionally stirring people up without making a statement one or the other, there is no requirement that art makes a clear statement. Okay, that's not an actual rule of art. Okay, some art does, some art doesn't. So there's nothing wrong with doing art that doesn't. You might have a harder time putting it on 3,000 screens. I'm not sure that putting things on 3,000 screens is the only value. Okay. Yes, actually, this is a very interesting point, Thomas. Thank you. The sensation of this is good stuff will change. The answer is, it won't always. If it always changes, then turn to yourself and say, why can't I make a decision I can live with? A lot of this is about learning to question. If you are always doing anything, it's probably a problem of yours and not the work. If you are always saying, I don't like what I just did. If you are always saying, I love everything, anything that you're always saying as an artist could not possibly be reacting honestly to the things, because things are different. Some things are different than others. So if you're always reacting the same way, that's in you. That's your reaction. You have to look at, why am I always reacting this way? But the answer is, when you get that sensation of good, yes, this is good stuff, and then later you look back at it and you're like, it's not that good. Take that seriously, but also note the times when you'll say, oh no, that is good. That's a good thing. Those will happen. Those do happen. They happen to anyone who's being an artist. If you're never having that experience of something that you're just like, yeah, that was good. Think about why. Why are you criticizing yourself so much? It could not be that bad. Okay. There's nothing you can do that would be so bad that you should be criticizing it so harshly and comparing it all the time. That's my opinion. Okay. Hi, Wolf Powers 2. Nice to see you. Okay. I've been focused on one impact I have from a scene in society. Exactly. Once again, your answer is in your questions, folks. I'm worried about my impact on society. Okay, don't worry. Don't do anything that you think will have harm to society, but then just live with it. You probably won't have any impact on society. Who has impact on society? Honestly. The amount of impact that any of us has on society is very small. Even if we have the #1 show on television, our impact on society is relatively small. So don't worry too much. I pick an anonymous person and then write to that person, giving them the goal of giving them a readable. Yes. I personally believe, Gene, that anonymous person is you. I believe that when we say I'm writing for an imaginary reader, most of the time we are taking some part of ourself or some version of ourself and imaginizing them into another person and saying, oh, how do they like it? And the answer is, you're saying, how do I like it? Which is also good. Having said that, as I'm working my way through, you have, okay, cool, good, glad, yay. Yes, if you find McKee helpful, read McKee. I just find McKee wordy. it's just a lot of words. But then again, I have 2,000 hours of talking here. It's just not written down. So what do I know? Yeah, I just, every time I pick up McKee's book, I'm like, I can't get through that much of it at a time. Okay. Re being not good enough for a subject, best advice I ever got from a playwright. I used to do interviews. After you write your first play, put it in your desk. Yes, this is Pennywise is on point here. Pennywise, absolutely. No one thing you do makes that much of a difference. Doing a lot of it often will help you to get better at all of it. Hi, Arctic Flower. Nice to see you. Thanks for all those lovely comments you made. That was really sweet of you. Okay. 90% of the way, I still didn't have a story. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, it's very possible. I never got to the end of McKee's book. I was already a professional writer when it came out, and I just did not have the time to read all of it. I have written parts to it, and still have the feeling I can't do it justice. Just keep trying, keep working, and also put it aside, do another thing that you can do, that you can do as best you can do. We all do the best we can. When do you put aside projects? Great question. I'm actually doing a video on that entirely, but the short answer is when you are not getting anywhere. If you have worked on something and you've tried a bunch of different approaches and you just can't get along the road, if you can't get your outline, if you can't get your text, whatever it is that you're trying to do, put it aside. Do something else. Don't burn it. Don't throw it away. Don't never, just set it aside. Try something else. Maybe you'll come back to it. The answer is don't give up until you've tried for a while. Give something 3 or 4 tries, different days, different, but if you're going for weeks and weeks and not getting anywhere, put it aside. Can't hurt. To be an effective enough writer for a project or maybe collab with someone else. No, I don't know. The answer is start to try and do the best you can. If you've got 2 boxes of notes and research, try and make them into a story, into an outline. Think in scenes. Try and get it to as far as you can. That's really the best anyone can do. Dark stuff is kind of like Jungian shadow. Yes, absolutely. Dark stuff is, going back to Jairo's question, what do we think about people who write dark stuff? It's part of human nature. We spend time fearing. We spend time thinking about things that we fear may happen, or even things that we want to happen, but are that we know did happen, and we're trying to understand them. There is darkness in life, and so therefore there is darkness in art. Okay. I meant the initial writing versus outline steps for me, combining to see what works. But the answer is, it would still be the same. Yeah, keep doing it. Good idea versus good on screen. The answer would remain the same, Donna, which is if you're doing that and it's making progress and you're getting work done, you are doing the right thing. That is the absolute answer. Okay. I meant taking into reference the book and TV series The Handmaid's Tale. They have a lot of heavy moments taking place in real life. You mean things are relevant to the world around us? That seems like a good thing. Sometimes Stephen King, he writes things in which we escape into darkness, away from, but all fears are real to a certain extent. And the answer is, should you write something that has actual dark relevance to things that are actually happening? Sure, why not? I just don't see any reason not to do those things. Completely agree. Gojira is a classic example used to cope in real life. Yes, thank you. Yeah. And yes, absolutely. Oh, good. I hope it is helpful. That's the thing. I still write and let folks look at it during things such as script critiques, but I have to accept that currently I'm still learning. We're always still learning. Always. I have to accept that. We all have to accept that. You're never going to not be still learning. You're never going to be not trying to get to be better. So don't hold that against yourself. Just do the best you can right now. That's the secret. Do the best you can. Yeah, that's it. This may be a dumb query, but is it okay if practice is in every scene? Yeah, I mean, it can be. It depends. It just, there's no, it's not a dumb query. It's just depends. There are certainly good stories where the main character is in every single scene, and there's others that it is. Are you? The main question is: are there scenes in which the protagonist is there where we wish he wasn't? In which case, take him out. But if we're having a good time sticking with him, stick with him. I was thinking about the movie Patterson, which is about a guy named Patterson. I think his name is Patterson. He lives in Patterson. It's about a poet. Adam Driver is a bus driver and a poet, and it takes place over a couple of days, and I believe every scene is him. It's great. So yeah, doesn't matter. Whatever. Any story can either have or not have people in the scenes. There's absolutely no rule about that. Yeah. That's an age-old question. Like, who should criticize? The answer is, in theory, a good critic recognize. They're not saying like I could do better. They're saying this is what I like and this is what I don't like. And if their observations are insightful to you, then they're a good critic. If they're just slamming stuff and being funny about it, or if they're just praising everything, then they're just not good critics. Being a critic and being a creator are just different. The thing for critics is, are they good critics? I don't have a big opinion because I haven't seen Velma, the new show Velma. My answer is it certainly is a controversy, and all I've seen is the trailer, so I can't really judge. I do see, here's the thing. Part of the question is, why would you take a thing which is distinctly itself and rework it into something distinctly different? Why not just make a new thing? But then again, reinterpreting an old thing in a new way is a very valuable artistic act. So I don't know. Don't ever ask a family. Well, just remember that family members have their own agendas and their own standards by which they judge. And very often they will judge you for their personal, like, I'm worried that this person isn't going to make a living, so I'm going to criticize them for that, which has nothing to do with whether or not their work is good. Family member is a little extra weight. But on the other hand, sometimes you get a family member who's like a good audience. Turning into, hi, Ace Aristocat. Nice to meet you. I am so glad. That is great. After, as far as impact on society, people riot in the streets. Yeah. So that, I guess my point would be, how much impact did they have on society overall? Like, did Doll's House change the course of Western civilization? A little bit, just a little. A lot of Tarkovsky's movies fall into the constant asking, what does it mean? Yes, exactly. And Tarkovsky clearly likes that. And Tarkovsky does it well. So cool. I watched so many fans of the new Blade Runner justifying it's a great movie. I love the new Blade Runner. Does it need an explanation? I don't know. I mean, I think some people got it. I did. I felt I did. I thought the new Blade Runner, in some ways, was better than the old Blade Runner, 2049, the Gosling Harrison Ford version. I thought it was fabulous. But this is the whole point. There's no opinions are opinions. Everyone's going to respect everyone. That's the main thing. Artists have got to get used to this. Think about anything that you like or that you hate or that's come out and is controversial, whether it's Velma or Doll's House or Blade Runner. Can you think of anything where you do not meet a handful of people and they have radically different opinions? And what's more, your judgment on their opinions is, they're not really seeing this part of it. Or, they're just, they were just looking for X, Y, and Z and they didn't get it in that. Opinions. Everybody's got them. They're like parts of the anatomy. and everyone likes their own opinion. Hopefully we can learn that opinions are just from the perspective of the opinionizer. They are not abstractly right or wrong. And as an artist, therefore, you have to take one person's opinion above all others, yours. That's it. If your opinion is everything you do sucks, you have to ask yourself either, why do I think that? Why am I so mean to myself? And usually you're going to find that what it is that you're afraid. That you are afraid it sucks, that you are hearing some other person's judgment in your fears and just, internalizing it. That's mostly why people say, I think my stuff sucks. The other thing is, if you really genuinely think your stuff sucks, why are you doing it? And the answer will be, because you like it, because something inside you likes doing it. So therefore, you got to pay more attention to that part. It's just that simple. Your opinion has to come first. Your opinion has to come first in priority and in chronology. As you write a lot and show it to people, you learn to figure out, how much do I not care what other people think? Sometimes it'll be a lot, sometimes it'll be a little. That is the artistic process. Yep, exactly. Okay, so what's the best way to structure what happens in the middle of a story? At the beginning and the ending, but I'm having a hard time filling in the gaps in the middle. Very simple answer to this. Put in everything you can think of. See how it goes. Organize it as best you can. If you are making an outline, I assume you are making an outline. If you are not making an outline, the answer to structural questions is always going to be make an outline. So let's talk about my video, why outline and how to outline. These are very good for answering structural questions, because the answer to any structural question is, what are your scenes? Think in scenes. If you're saying I'm having a hard time filling in the gaps, that means think of stuff, literally think of stuff that happens. If you've thought of everything that can happen, write that. See, does it flow? If it flows, your story's done. That's all I can say, is that in general, the middle should be a process by which people do things. Really, it comes down to if you're doing this, you're going to hit that middle part where people are trying. These are all videos I'm putting up. The videos of mine. I will put the links in the description so that you can watch them and understand what I'm saying in my best way, because that's where I really made things clear. A story starts, your beginning starts with someone trying to do something most of the time. And so therefore, you have your beginning. Meet a character. They have something they want. They have some problem they're dealing with. Whatever it is, they start to do stuff. And then you have your ending where that thing gets resolved. They either get what they want or they don't get what they want. And then all the steps in between, they come down to, what are they trying to do that doesn't work? Because the work will be the ending. The one that works will be, the story will be over. So the question is, what do they have to learn? What do they try that doesn't work, and why? What does that mean about the world, about them? That's what you do with the middle. Okay. I write horror. Yes, exactly. A lot of times people write dark stuff because it's helping you deal with the fact that life is scary. Yeah, right. Yeah, people like it. People like being scared. Exactly. People want to explore feelings in art. Some of those feelings are, I think, look, the funny guy fell down the stairs. And some of them are, ooh, they fell in love, I'm glad. And some of them are, uh-oh, that's really, I'm afraid of that. Feelings. That's why we write. That's why we read. Remember Peter Boyle's the title character in Joe. Indeed. Movie star opened with a stream of invective. I started writing dialogue just to get my character's voice out. And that was not what I expected. Do you go with that energy or rethink your character, or do you double down? I say go with it, and then later you can decide, what has that told me about this work? Maybe I need to, it depends on what the goal is, what the method is of that particular project. In Joe, the whole point about this guy's invective is we were going to follow the consequences of that kind of thinking to their tragic ending. Spoiler alert. The answer is, I do not see any value in attacking your own work early on. When it's done and you've doubled down on your character just being vile, when you're done, you might change your mind and rewrite that. Cool. But don't stop yourself when you're starting. Keep going. Have some fun. See where it leads and decide what you think about it. Once again, you're the best audience. You're welcome. Good morning, Dom Jakin. Good to see you wherever in the world it is morning, I am saying. Do the best you can, but if I understand you correctly, then also ask questions. Of course, that's part of doing the best you can in your work, but also in your process, pushing me forward or the opposite. Am I helping myself do the best I can? I am not entirely sure, but yes, but the answer is always ask questions. For those of you who don't know, this video, questions is how you work. However, the question should not be, am I bad? Because the answer is just going to be, do the best you can. The question, how am I going to make this faster or slower or scarier or lighter? Those are specific questions you can have specific answers to. Ask questions that have specific answers. Ask specific questions. That's the answer to that. And then you do the best you can. So, is this fast enough? I don't know. It's as fast as I can go. At meetings, if you have to explain yourself, it might be a bad sign. Yes, that is true. In life, if you have to explain yourself, it might be a bad sign. On the other hand, sometimes my feeling about explaining yourself is most of the time, don't do it. And second of all, when you do it once. If they get it, cool. If they don't, stop. What point of view do you write in the most? It depends. Well, first of all, in point of view, we're generally talking about fiction, because in a movie, you are almost never in the point of view of a character. It's very rare to stay in somebody's point of view. In fiction, it sort of depends on the story, and it's 50-50. First person or third person, almost never in second person. Although I did start one script in second person. It was like, you are seeing this, because I wanted the audience to be in the point of view. It was only one page, though. Thank you. Let me just quickly check some early questions because I missed them. Okay. How can we use, C.G. Fernandez asked early on, how can we use POV as a tool to tell a story? It depends. Are you writing scripts or are you writing fiction? If you are writing fiction, then POV is open. You can switch POVs. You can write in the point of view of any character. You can go into people's minds or thoughts. Fiction, point of view is a way for you to decide, and you have to choose based on what you like. Once again, is it good? Do you think it's good? Did you have a good time reading something like that? But the answer is, that's how POV works in fiction. In a script, you very rarely actually go into point of view and that the camera is looking through the eyes of the character. It's something you only do very briefly because it's very intense for the audience. And you do it because you choose to try to enforce the audience's experience through that character, which can be someone you're scared of or somebody you admire, somebody you are rooting for. The answer is, point of view is very important in terms of deciding what you are telling, but the actual use of point of view in scripts is very rare. When you mention breaking up a paragraph, can you give an example? Sure. Hold on. I don't know if I can. I just don't know if I have time to find it. Hold on. Um, Let me see. Do I have any scripts around right now? Here. I'm just gonna. Actually, no, I can't. Not right now. I'm just not prepared to put. This is not an episode where I had a document up. So therefore, the answer is when I talk about breaking up a paragraph, I mean, this is so frustrating. I should be able to find this. Damn. Nope, can't do it. Sorry. Another time, or I will just say it's in every script I have written. You will see that paragraphs of description are. Do I have? Yeah. Hang on. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Let's do this. Okay, so here, this is a description, okay? And in this description, we have dripping wet, Milton lugs his bass across the so then I have a paragraph break, and then as he splatters past. So you see this paragraph and this paragraph, I broke them up because one of them were on Milton and one of them were on Jackson, and I wanted to separate those. So therefore, what I did was by breaking these, I mean, in theory, in prose, you could write that. But what I wanted to do, like this could be one paragraph. But then the point of a paragraph is it's sticking to a topic, a flow. And in this case, I wanted us to see Milton walking across the lobby and then to stop watching Milton and look at Jackson. So I broke up the paragraphs mentally to cut, to separate. Does that make sense? That's when I mention breaking up a paragraph. People are trained in school to write paragraphs on topics, but in narrative you are breaking up actions. Now it could be that you do like 8 lines on Milton as he walks in, and honestly, most scripts you don't do an 8-line paragraph because it's a lot of information. And the question is, why do we need that much information to watch Milton walk across the lobby? But in general, my answer is screenwriting benefits from breaking up the paragraphs into smaller actions. For instance, here, there's no one at the desk because we were just on Jackson, who was lying behind the sofa. Okay. Then we go to the desk. In order to get our heads from one place to the other, I did a paragraph break. Okay. All right. Got to get going. Me too. It's time to go. Okay. So great to see you all. I will see you again. Yes, my point is that by using paragraph breaks, you don't have to say we cut to or pan to or all that stuff, which to me makes you stop thinking about what's happening and start thinking about this imaginary camera that's never going to do what you say anyway. So the answer is the goal of paragraph breaks is to steer the mind without saying, hey, camera, cutting, etc., etc. I break up my lines in my to mentally in the outline. Yes, exactly. I break up my lines just to say, like, this is a thing, this is a thing. Yeah, thank you. That was weird. It was weird how much they stuck to the script. Okay, good to see you all. Thank you so much. I will be back upon Thursday. And Thursday, I think I'm going to do a novel progress report. So I will see you then. Go write something.